Hello, and welcome to the Kathleen Spracklin podcast, where I'm on a mission to help you get the Zettelkasten of your dreams on your work table beside you. Well, today we're going to go over the various types of main cards that I use in my system. I'll also make mention of one type of main card that I do not use in main card form, and I'll make special mention of a new type of main card that I introduced to assist my minimalist people, and I'm finding that it's quite useful for me in Zeek here. So I'm going to introduce it to you, my regular people, in case you might find it to be of value as well. I'll explain how it's created and what its purpose is. So head on over to the down-facing camera with me, and let's go over the types of main cards in a Zettelkasten. See you over there. Here is a classical main card. In it, you'll see that it's composed of 4 key ideas: the information that you gain from your source, your response, where the source came from, a tagline, and then a card number is assigned. This is a stylized main card here. You can see that the content of your main card, your thoughts or your reaction, the source where the information came from, the all-important tagline, and then ultimately it gets a card number. So this is the model for a main card. So the different types of main cards come about from the different types of content area that you could have in your main card. The type of content gives rise to the type of main card. For example, the most common is the thought or an idea from a source. That gives you an ideation main card. Next most common is a quotation from the source, and I warn you to be cautious about this, because you want to make sure that you are understanding the quotation and that quoting does not become a substitute for understanding. If you can rephrase it in your own words, you know you understood it. But sometimes those quotes are priceless, especially if it's a well-known individual and you want to cite the quote. And of course, when you are dealing with any type of fictional writing, the words are the key thing. So quotations are not forbidden in any way, shape, or form. You just have to be a little bit cautious with them, and that gives rise to a quotation main card. The type of main card that I really discourage is the type that just has a factoid. Facts are dead. I would rather see the ideas that the fact supports. You can put the facts on the backside if it's really important that they be close at hand. So I discourage using a factoid or just a piece of information as a main card, but that does give you an information main card if you choose to create one. Then the other type of main card that you see often in my Zettelkasten is when the thought or the idea comes from you yourself or me myself, where we as creators of our Zettelkasten are the source of the information. And that is commonly referred to as a reflection main card. And then the new type of main card that I've introduced to my minimalist students is where the content is your intention of the field that you wish to study, and that is called a foundation main card. So now you can see that from one basic model, because they will all have some content area of any of these 5 types actually, then your thoughts or your reaction to the content, the source, that all-important tagline that you will use for indexing, and then the card number that you will assign to it. So now let's focus here on the intention or foundation main cards. Let's see how they're created, and let's see why you might want to have them. A foundation main card defines your intention to tackle a given new subject area that's not currently represented in your Zettelkasten. You can establish a foundation card at the lowest level in your Zettelkasten, at the 1, 2, 3s if you're using effortless numbering, at the 1,000, 2,000, 3,000s if you're using categories. Foundation cards can be used with both categories and with effortless numbering. I think they have a great advantage with effortless numbering, but they're completely usable also with categories. But the key idea of a foundation card is that you begin by pondering what area is there that you want to stake out in your Zettelkasten that you do not yet have content for. This example is the ponder statement that I gave to my minimalist when I was asking them to think about what their core areas might be, their most basic areas. But you can ponder this same type of a question whenever you have a region of your Zettelkasten that you want to stake out, but that you do not yet have any cards for. Then the question that you want to ask yourself is, why are you studying this? What is your larger purpose? So once you've pondered and have in mind both your content area and your purpose for going into that content, you're ready to create your main card. A foundation main card has as its content area a statement that typically begins with, I want to learn more about whatever the area is that you're studying, so that your purpose, why you're studying it. So the area that you're studying is what you want to learn more about, and your reason is what you give in your so that statement. Now you have a complete card following the normal way of creating a main card. After you stake out your foundation, then you still give your thoughts or reactions to it. And this can be full of some big surprises when you really think about, well, how do I feel about studying this new area? You can get a lot of insights right there. Then your source will probably be a personal reflection, and then your tagline will summarize the whole card for you. Both your content section and your reaction to it, and your tagline will pull out the whole card for you for when you index the card. Here is an example of a foundation card that I made with my minimalist group. It was in the section 3, which is on how the mind works, and the area was on how design can function as a communication tool. My statement was, I want to learn about design as a communication tool because I believe that a new subject can be made more comprehensible through quality design. So that was my core area, design as communication, and my reasoning so that it can be made more comprehensible. Then my reaction to that is more about my purpose. Why does this tie directly to me? I want the book I'm writing on Zettelkasten to be clear and easy to work with and to understand. So I have a solid purpose for why I want to engage in this. And then my tagline is, good design can aid in understanding. So why would you want a foundation card like this? There are a number of reasons. One reason is that it's defining an area of study and setting its purpose. So all the advantages that you get out of purpose can come to you because you've set your purpose for reading this area. And there are so many advantages. Many studies have shown that we actually learn better if we understand the purpose for why we're learning it. Understanding and setting out our purpose can help stop scope creep. We know what books we're reading, why we're reading them, what videos we're viewing, why we're viewing them. So it saves a lot of time because we're not going off in tangents that aren't necessary to our goals. Every value that comes out of knowing your purpose is a solid reason for setting out a foundation card. A second reason is that what creating this card gives you is a meaningful tagline. You don't yet have any cards in your system on this subject. That's the reason that you set up the foundation card in the first place. But what are you going to attach your new information to? Having a vibrant tagline will help you connect to your purpose, to your reason, to the information, and give you a great parent card to hook your new information onto. A third advantage to having a foundation card is it's totally tailored to you and to your reading plan and to where you want to go in acquiring knowledge. You're not setting up blind categories that may or may not get used. This is where you're headed. So it's very, very tailored to you. And because your tagline should also incorporate your reaction to your purpose, it should be a very well-rounded tagline and very, very personalized and therefore very memorable. But one of the key functions that a foundation card will do for you is it functions to save a specific area within your Zettelkasten and reserve it for use for that subject area. In that regard, it functions much like an announcement that you might get of a friend, or in my case, my grandson's coming wedding date, the save the date. So a good foundation card lets you save the number, and you can use them at any place in your tree. You can already be deep, multiple digits long in your subject area and suddenly discover that you have a hole and you want to expand that hole. You can lay down a foundation right in the middle of 3B2A-3C. You could then lay down a foundation card for where you want to go from there. It doesn't have to just be at the very earliest. Now, I'm teaching it to my minimalist people at the very earliest because it's functioning for them in the place of categories. Minimalist, I'm trying to reduce the number of decisions that people need to make, and categories are full of decisions. So I'm just totally banning them from the minimalist program. You are my more advanced people, and of course you may or may not have categories. So now I need to talk to a little bit to you folks then about how would you create a foundation card in a category system. And my suggestion to you is that if you've got a number of category cards in your system of the 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 variety, I strongly suggest that individually, one by one, you replace those cards with a foundation card that covers the same subject. Say, for example, that you have a category card in your system like this one, 1000 Arts and Humanities. I would strongly suggest that you do the following. Ponder this subject area. What is it about Arts and Humanities that is motivating you to include it in your Zettelkasten? What is your purpose for studying Arts and Humanities? Then you can take your dead 1000 card and make a live 1000 card that says, I want to learn more about arts and humanities so that, and supply your reason. Then indicate below that, what's your reaction to that? Put your name, your reference as your source. For me, that would be a personal reflection and a date. Supply a tagline at the top. Arts and humanities is vital to my life because blah, blah, blah. Whatever that tagline pulls you in for why you wanted to study arts and humanities, and then leave it with its existing card number of 1000. Then you will have a much more vibrant category card in your system. At that point, if all you have is your 1000s and you want to create a new area under arts and humanities, maybe an 1100 number, declare a foundation card for 1100 and give it its meaning and why you want to study that area, just as you would for any other foundation card. You can gradually replace all of your category cards in your system one by one with foundation cards. So now I hope that you'll be comfortable using any type of a main card, even the discouraged factoid if you really have to have one. They're all main cards if they all contain all of the components of a true main card. Now, I promised you that there was one type of main card that I would mention to you that I do not use, and that is the Hoplink card. I hope most of you know by now that I use a special type of card written on pastel stock so that it's distinguishable from my regular main cards. It gets filed right behind the real main card of the same number. It resides in your main box, but it contains links to all of the locations that this card relates to. In this case, they're all the locations right behind it in the Zettelkasten. But if I have a location, and you've seen this many times in my system, that points off elsewhere in my Zettelkasten, it would also be here on this card with that special annotation that tells me that the entry is a link, that the card number is a link to another card. So that is where my Hoplinks live. All my Hoplinks live on a directory card. So that means I do not need a type of main card for a Hoplink. And these are the only cards that I actually need. So I hope that you, my regular viewers, will now have an opportunity to see the power and value of a foundation card in your system. Save those numbers when you want to do so, but make them a real main card, because the beauty of an intention is it lets you put a stake in the ground in a spot where you do not yet have any main cards. And if it's expressed well as your intention, your purpose, and your reaction, all in one place with a vibrant tagline, it will serve to motivate you, to help direct and control your studies, and give you a marvelous anchor to put those first new main cards into your system. Thank you. Bye-bye.